These personalities are at the top of the DC Universe's power scale. What are their powers, and where do they come from? Join me in meeting these characters that could effortlessly finish the Justice League off. Top 10 Strongest DC Characters. Number 10. Parallax. Don't mistake Parallax for just any villain. He's a more complex concept. Parallax is the feeling of fear with a sense of awareness. It was born when one of the first living beings felt scared for the first time. So, he's been gaining power every time someone is afraid ever since. For Parallax, fear is energy, and he can force living beings to feel fear so that they destroy things and terrorize their worlds out more. However, Parallax doesn't only scare, but it might use all its fear energy as a power to destroy the universe. Let me tell you a story. During the Emerald Twilight story arc, Parallax possessed the Green Lantern Hal Jordan and killed every Green Lantern through him. This is an entire legion of hundreds of superheroes. When there wasn't anyone to stop it, Parallax began to destroy the universe to rebuild it as he sinisterly wished. Spectre himself, who you'll see later on, had to get involved to stop him. Number 9. Anti-Monitor. If Parallax was able to destroy the universe, the Anti-Monitor destroyed many universes. Your favorite superheroes are like flies against him. To give you an idea, the Anti-Monitor killed Supergirl with a single attack, despite her having the same powers as Superman. He was born in the Antimatter universe, which is a counter-existence plane that gets bigger when its regent Anti-Monitor eliminates universes and becomes more powerful. His list of powers contains absorbing and projecting massive amounts of energy, being absurdly strong and resistant, being able to create other entities, and travel to other dimensions. There's a weakness though. The thing is, he's made of pure energy. So, what you can see is just another hazmat suit. But beware, because if his energy were released, he could take another universe off. He was stopped when there was only one universe left to destroy. And yet again, Spectre had to get involved, but the battle was hard, even for him. Number 8. Spectre. He's considered the most powerful superhero. Spectre is the presence's feeling of revenge. He's the god of the DC universe. Don't compare him to Parallax, because Parallax is the fear that the entities in the universe have. However, Spectre is a feeling that the one who created it all has, so he's on a much higher scale. Spectre is practically omnipotent, as he can do anything he imagines, and therefore, no supervillain can stand up to him. To take over the universe correctly, he needs to merge with a fair-hearted host, because he's pure revenge, so he could end up punishing the slightest offenses. One of his most famous hosts is Jim Corrigan, a detective killed by gang members and resurrected by Spectre to fight evil. He also merged with the Green Lantern Hal Jordan to let him off of Parallax's possession, and with Crispus Allen, who we'll talk about again in this video, and who was also a detective treacherously killed. Number 7. Mr. Mxyzptlk. This little man with an unpronounceable name comes from the 5th dimension, and in the 3rd dimensional plane, he's omnipotent. His powers are beyond all understanding. If they were magic, it wouldn't be anything like the DC Universe's magic. And if they were technology, as it belongs to a 5th dimensional plane, it would be impossible to understand. Anyway, he can deform reality at will, and the only limit is his imagination. This includes manipulating logic and the basis of reality, something that Spectre can't do because he's governed by the rules of his universe in 3 dimensions. Luckily, this little man isn't a villain, but more of a prankster. He shows up in the DC universe only to defy the heroes with different challenges, and if the heroes manage to beat them off, Mr. Mxyzptlk will leave them alone and go away. Number 6. Dr. Manhattan. Dr. Jonathan Osterman was once a mere human being, and although he was a brilliant scientist, he didn't have any power. That went on until he suffered a terrible lab accident that totally disintegrated him and scattered his atoms. He was left for dead. However, he not only managed to rebuild himself, but returned as an almost omnipotent entity, Dr. Manhattan. He can shape the universe at will and alter reality, so trying to fight him is worthless. He's practically a god, yet his most overwhelming ability is his absurdly high-level omniscience. He's not only able to perceive everything that happens in the universe, but he also perceives the past, present, and future at the same time. He can also explore timelines that never happened. Thanks to his omniscience, he has such great control over the universe that Mr. Unpronounceable has had no choice but to recognize that this blue man is more powerful than him. Number 5. Nekron. Who could be above the mega powerful entities that I've already shown you earlier? The answer will give you cosmic goosebumps. Nekron is the embodiment of the concept of non-existence and death. What makes him really terrifying is that he hates existence and life. For him, everything was in order before, but then those two came and ruined everything. Nekron has full control over what once existed until it no longer existed. That's why he can turn dead characters into Black Lantern, subjects who long for erasing everything. Nekron is so powerful, he brought Crispus Allen back as Spectre, the number 8 on this top 10, and made him his servant. He also captured Anti-Monitor, who is antimatter, so he'd be an energy source for his subjects. No matter what other almost omnipotent characters do, they can only deal with existing things. Therefore, they can't keep up with Nekron, who can eliminate them for sure. Number 4. Perpetua and the Darkest Night. If Nekron finishes it all, Perpetua creates it on a scale that Nekron could never finish destroying. She belongs to a race called the Hands, who were entrusted with anti-crisis energy to create different existences and different sets of multiverses. But don't think she's good. She's extremely spoiled and doesn't like her creation, so she constantly wants to modify it. She interferes wherever she wants, howsoever she wants, and whenever she wants. There are no limits for Perpetua, except the amount of anti-crisis energy that she could have accumulated. This is when the Darkest Night shows up. He's none other than an evil version of Batman. Although he started out as an extremely evil human being, he managed to capture a Batman version from another universe that got Dr. Manhattan's powers by defeating him when he just rebuilt himself. Then, he inserted his brain into the character, and voila! He was ready to steal Perpetua's anti-crisis energy, becoming the Darkest Night, an entity with the same power and who could end everything in the blink of an eye. Number 3. Lucifer Morningstar and Michael Demiurgos. From here on, all games are over. If you thought the previous numbers had power, now they are not even ants. Lucifer Morningstar and Michael Demiurgos are the Presence's children, and I'll talk about this character later on. But as you can imagine, their names derive from the Abrahamic religion, and they're the DC versions of the archangels Lucifer and Michael. No matter whether there's existence or not, they're above that. To begin with, they're totally omnipotent and omniscient. Unlike all the previous entities on this list, they don't need anything at all, either existing or non-existing, to make their abilities work. Apart from that, each one has a special power. Michael can create anything he wants out of thin air, and effortlessly, including the Omniverse that houses all past and wannabe future existences. As for Lucifer, he can manipulate everything created without restriction. Logic, science, or magic don't apply to them. They're absolute divinities. That's it. Number 2. Elaine Belloc. She is God. Next number. Alright, I'll break it down. Elaine Belloc is Michael Demiurgos' daughter and the Presence's granddaughter. During an arc in which Michael Demiurgos was about to die, he gave his powers to his daughter. In other words, Elaine can create anything she wants without any requirements. She belongs to the same plane as Michael and Lucifer, so she's omnipotent, and the existence and non-existence are below her. So far, she'd be even with her father and uncle, wouldn't she? However, the Presence, the absolute God, left his position empty, and since Michael was dead and Lucifer was exiled for rising up, just like in the Bible, the only one who could sit on the throne was Elaine Belloc. For this reason, Lucifer Morningstar taught her to control her powers and creations, spending millions of years together creating multiverses. With her training done, she was ready to be God and rule everything. Who could be above God? Well, I gave you a spoiler with the answer a while ago. Anyways, stick around because the explanation will be worth it. Number 1. The Presence. If there was a simple way to define him, it'd be unlimited power. He's the DC version of the Abrahamic God. Absolutely everything exists because he wanted it that way. Through dialogues, he has made it clear that he's way more powerful than Michael Demiurgos and Lucifer Morningstar combined. In fact, he said everything happens on whatever plane because he makes it happen. Needless to say, he's omnipotent, omnipresent, and omniscient in every way. I believe that includes absolutely everything, including concepts, movements, powers, and so on. So basically, nothing can be done without using something that he had created. Elaine Belloc may be the new goddess, but she has confessed to Lucifer that watching over the entire creation is very overwhelming. However, the Presence carried out this very task effortlessly. If these entities with incalculable power left you with a feeling of cosmic emptiness, you can keep watching more TrendMax videos to entertain yourself. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment.